it's looking a little fishy from a couple of different points. I think we should go over it because I even just like reading the news cycle stuff was not really making sense to me. Like, okay, they decided to burn it in a giant explosion and thought that nothing would contaminate it. And then the EPA, FEMA, they didn't move quick enough. Pete Buttigieg, the secretary of the Department of Transportation, he didn't say anything for like 2 weeks. Like,
girl, everybody's involved, but way too late.
Yeah, it's really, really weird. But let's get into it.
Yeah, so let's go back in time to what actually happened, break down the facts for everyone. So on the night of February 3rd, just before 9 p.m., a Norfolk Southern train is riding through this small Ohio town called East Palestine. It's right next to the Pennsylvania border. And this is a very small town. There's about 5,000 people in it. So I think that makes it smaller than my hometown, which is incredibly small.
Right.
And as this train is making its way through East Palestine, 38 cars of the 150 cars attached to this train suddenly derail. And what that means is they come off the rails. The train was carrying a lot of random different things. I went into the logs of the train and found they were carrying like several cars of malt liquors, frozen vegetables, building materials like cement. And also, they were carrying extremely hazardous materials. Now, luck would have it that 5 of these 38 cars that came off the rails in East Palestine were carrying really hazardous chemicals. The main one that people are focusing on is vinyl chloride, but butyl acrylate, ethyl hexyl acrylate, and some other ones. I don't need to pronounce these.
So what are these chemicals for? Are these like cleaning products, or like what were they even being transported for?
So vinyl chloride is a substance used to make PVC. So it would make sense that this was getting carried in kind of a, in the building materials section.
Mm-hmm.
But this chemical can be very, very dangerous. It causes dizziness, sleepiness, headaches, and is also linked to an increased risk of cancer in the liver, brain, lungs, and blood.
So let's dump it all right into this small town.
Yeah.
Let's dump it right there. I love that idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. And so all of this gets dumped out, and they have this bright idea to intentionally burn off the vinyl chloride in a controlled explosion because they're worried about this massive explosion happening. So officials are like, okay, we need to do a controlled burning.
Literally, whatever that means, because what about that was controlled? Like,
girl,
look at the factors.
The smoke cloud has traversed the United States. It's gone all over several states.
What about that was controlled?
I know.
And it's crazy that the governor, the governor of Ohio, DeWine, he gave the call. He allowed them to do this. And the officials in Pennsylvania as well, because it's so near the border. So they approved this call for Norfolk Southern to do this. So it's not even just this evil corporation. I know that a lot of people just want to blame the corporation, but a lot of it is the government too.
Right. And I think, these officials probably had legitimate reasons to do so because not burning it off in this controlled way.
I'm sure Norfolk Southern was like,
could have been much worse.
This is going to be much worse if we don't do this. We need your approval. And, something happened where they got the stamp of approval. I still am struggling to understand what about that was controlled. Where did it go wrong? I don't even know if I believe the investigation on that has still not even concluded. So we don't know exactly what went wrong with the explosion. But what went wrong with the derailment has kind of been, has kind of been released by a preliminary investigation, and it's looking kind of bad. It's looking pretty bad for the railroad company, actually.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah,
I know you bring the receipts.
So, I always do.
But back to burning this vinyl chloride. Did you know that burning it can break it down into a compound, including hydrogen chloride and phosgene, a chemical weapon used during World War I as a choking agent?
I did not know that, but that sounds horrible. And it definitely sounds like, yes, we should definitely dump this onto this small town of 5,000 people who are like all
just
small
these families that are trying to get
just
through their
working
lives.
class families, you know, who needs them?
Yeah, absolutely. And these residents are asked to evacuate their homes for 5 days. That's it. And they need to evacuate their homes. Like these are really dangerous chemicals that have been released, and it is causing serious health problems almost immediately for residents. And it killed off like 43,000 animals.
People are
like,
not talking about that enough.
Yeah.
How is the water safe to drink if all the animals in the water have died?
Right.
And
I think people just don't care about the fish or something, but 43,000 animals pass away in the 3 weeks.
This is a disaster. It will have lasting consequences on the environment. I know the left takes a monopoly on the environment topic from the conservatives, and I really don't like that because it's so partisan. And I really want them to just acknowledge, 43,000 fish and other aquatic animals just died. What is that going to do for the environment? What is that going to do for the people that live here? This isn't just going to be like, okay, go away for 5 days and come back and everything's fine. It is clearly not fine.
This is a disaster for East Palestine.